My name is Nicole Gunderson. I'm the Managing Director of the Global Insurance Accelerator, and I am joined today for our fun, hopefully fun and entertaining, and certainly gets all of your questions answered on InsurTech Week by two other panelists. Megan Brandt is the GIA's Program Manager. And we are also joined by Jake Tamarkin, is the CEO of Everyday Life. He's going to be able to help us answer some questions you might have more specifically as an InsurTech company interested in applying to InsurTech Week to be one of those selected companies. The plan for our kind of next 26 minutes approximately, we're going to cruise through some slides, tell you a bit more about the GIA's InsurTech Week, and then open it up for questions. So we've got two different options for you today. If you want to send in any questions through the chat, those will come to Megan, Jake, and myself. You're also welcome to press the button to kind of raise your hand, in which case at the right time, we will convert you over to a panelist so you can ask the question of us live. So I'm going to continue through, hopefully answer any of your questions for you. For those of you who are not familiar with the Global Insurance Accelerator at all, we are a mentorship-driven program designed to foster innovation in the insurance industry. And there's two core programs behind that. One is an annual accelerator, a 100-day immersive program that the GIA, we just finished our 6th program at the end of April this year. But what we're here to talk about today is a second program called InsurTech Week, which is really an opportunity. I think it is a little gem of a program for the insurance industry. Anyone from InsurTech companies, insurers, mentors, early stage InsurTech investors, we have alumni companies, and just general enthusiasts of insurance and InsurTech who participate in a number of innovation activities with the GIA over the course of 1 week. I like to think about it as bringing the best of our 100-day program into this really condensed 1 week opportunity. And we do that for a group of InsurTech companies from startup to scale up that are interested in being selected through an application process to participate in insurance-specific workshops, very curated networking, as well as to be able to have a platform to present your company that you're working on. So we're going to dive a little deeper into each of those opportunities of what does it mean to be a selected company. As I mentioned, the Global Insurance Accelerator is an insurance program designed to foster innovation in the insurance industry, and we do that backed by these 15 insurance companies. What started in Des Moines, Iowa in 2014 with 7 insurers has continued to grow and expand over time with a broader footprint. Still heavy dominance of insurers in the great state of Iowa, but have grown nationally since then. Another very core tenet of the overall GIA is that it is largely mentorship driven in approach. And so we're using a lot of pictures today to help tell some of the stories of what do we think makes some of the programming that we run so special. And it is largely driven by these mentors. So when we talk about InsurTech Week and the role of mentors, we'll dig into that a little bit more as well. So over the course of 1 week, we want to give you a little bit of a picture of what does that entail for an InsurTech company that wants to participate. Monday of that week, that evening, is really designed for the selected InsurTech companies to be able to meet each other and to get to know each other. This is a selection of 8 of the 17 companies that were those featured InsurTech companies in our 2019 program, and we do a lot of special activities for you. This was a specific event where we were able to capture these pictures as a part of that. But the Monday evening is really your chance to get to grow your kind of founder or team network within this InsurTech space with those other selected companies. On Tuesday, what we do is we really turn to what we describe as a highly curated educational day with content that is being driven by GIA mentors and supporters of the program. So you can see a selection of events that happened in our 2019 InsurTech Week. We have on the far left there, that is the Iowa Insurance Commissioner Doug Oman, who kicked off our day, providing some comments around Iowa Insurance Division and their perspective on and support for innovation in the industry. We had a session around regulatory consideration for InsurTech companies. We had a really detailed session led by another mentor on what does it look like to be an InsurTech company from a technical perspective, trying to pass information security requirements, working with a carrier. If you've maybe done a little bit of that, or you want to understand further, what does that look like? And then as an example of another topic that was really well received in last year's programming was around selling and pilots. So two different course of topics. One of these, we had three different insurers between the likes of Principal and Markel and Allstate talking about what do their organizations look for when they're looking to engage with InsurTech companies. And once you have a pilot, what do you do from there? So this is a highly educational day across a range of insurance and InsurTech topics led by these mentors. As you can see, lots of opportunities for networking throughout. Wednesday is where we turn to a morning of structured networking using Brella tool to be able to set up one-on-one meetings or small group meetings with the insurers and your companies to be able to tell them more about your product, what you're working on, what are you looking for. And then that afternoon is one of kind of the core value opportunities for an InsurTech company that's been selected for InsurTech Week, which is the ability to present your company on stage in front of a great insurance specific audience and some early stage InsurTech investors, talking about what you're working on, what do you have in market, or you're telling your story. That's also followed by more networking. And then last but not least, Thursday and Friday continue with ample opportunities for one-on-one meetings with insurers from coming from that base of the 15 insurers that back the GIA to a much broader group of insurance companies, executives and professionals who have gotten to know the GIA over the years and participate in these events. A few other things that we did last year, we had a women insurance coffee. There's lots of opportunities for the founders and teams who come as a part of that to just co-work if you need to do some time working, socializing, there's certainly that. Overall, a really high impact week that creates lots of opportunities really designed around bringing the best of that 100-day program into 1 week for you as a selected InsurTech company. I am going to kind of quickly just recap some of the benefits that we believe exist for why you'd be interested in applying to be one of those companies. So meetings via Brella with GIA investors who are insurance companies, our mentors, it could be insurance regulators, InsurTech investors. Those educational sessions that are highly curated by industry leaders. We've had several GIA alumni companies in the past be present to be able to tell you more about their experiences. Like we'll have Jake here today available to answer some questions. For those of you that don't know Des Moines, Iowa, it is an insurance town. So in addition to what the GIA puts together over the course of that week, we've had a lot of companies take advantage of the 225 plus insurance companies who are domiciled in Iowa, and roughly 80 of those that are specifically based in Des Moines, to have more meetings than you might even be able to get while at the InsurTech Week networking opportunities. Again, you'll have the ability to present your company on a main stage. We'll have office space. We've got Wi-Fi, food, coffee, and a housing subsidy at a hotel near the office where a majority of the events take place. What we ask of you is for a strong commitment to that week as a selected company to participate. So you would look to arrive no later than 4 o'clock Central on Monday the 12th and depart no earlier than the morning of Friday, October the 16th, to be able to really fully participate in the scope of events that we put together. Lots of little things that are happening in between aside from what we've talked about today. You would need to cover your own travel and the remainder of the housing that is not a part of the subsidized housing subsidy. Our application is available on the GIA's website. Those will close on July 22nd at 5 p.m. and then we'll notify selected companies by August 12th. So I wanted to be able to, before we turn it over to questions, I wanted to make sure that, certainly we are very in tune with the uncertain times that we're all facing right now. So the good news is that InsurTech Week has an opportunity to be made virtual. We would miss out on some of those face-to-face activities, but many of the things that I have talked to you about today, from curated networking opportunities for one-on-one meetings to the ability to present your company in front of a large audience, those will continue to happen if we choose to convert this week into a virtual, more of a virtual conference rather than an in-person event or some sort of hybrid thereof. So I wanted you to know that we are very in tune and tracking what's going on for right now. I spoke today mostly about what this looks like if it's an in-person event from October 12th to 16th taking place in Des Moines, Iowa. And Jake, I want to give you, put you on the spot for a minute. If you wouldn't mind to just introduce yourself, what you're building at Everyday Life, and talk about a little bit maybe why you were interested in InsurTech Week at the point that you applied to participate.
Definitely. Thanks, Nicole. Can you hear me okay, first of all? Hi.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay, good. Okay, so for a quick intro, I'm Jake with Everyday Life, and at Everyday Life, we're reinventing life insurance in America with both a B2C flavor and a B2B2C flavor. So the InsurTech Week was a game-changing event for us and continues to be a key point on our conference calendar. And very simply, just a quick note, whether or not your company is selected, I highly recommend you consider attending, because if you want to do business in the U.S. As an InsurTech, you need to have Des Moines on your map, and this is the single best entry point for getting acclimated to the Des Moines insurance community, which is an amazing community. And so no matter what, I think you should have this in your plan. But for me, being selected as a featured startup That was in the fall of 2018. And as I said, it was a game-changing experience for us because um, it's always great to have a platform to share your story and to get your message out to a bunch of interested folks. But beyond that, the educational program was very valuable. But I think even beyond all of those things, the most valuable opportunity was to network with carriers and investors and other startups. And all of those relationships have paid off. There are relationships, one-off meetings I had that week that are people that I still talk with on a weekly basis now, or whatever that is, a year and a half later. And when you think about the carriers there, it's not just the 15 that sponsor it. There's, I don't know how many attend, but could be easily like 50 maybe across the country that come in. Not as many from Des Moines, but also from all around the country. It's a well-known event. And you're just not going to have more access to people who want to talk about startups and the work that you're doing. I think at any other event, whether you do InsurTech Connect or any of the other conferences, they're great. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do those. I'm just saying that this one is people are much more accessible at this event. So tons of carriers, but also a bunch of investors. And that's part of why, I was in the middle of our first fundraise when I went back last year. And I picked up some checks out of that. So you can bet even that it'll be on my agenda for this fall as well. And then other startups too. We're all in this together and we can all learn and help each other. Those connections have also been very valuable.
I was going to put a fine point on a point you were making to make sure that anyone who's interested understands that if you apply and your company is not selected to be a featured company, which has some of those ancillary benefits, you are still welcome to participate in InsurTech Week. And you can participate in some of the educational sessions that are being put on. You can participate in the curated networking. So setting up one-on-one meetings with Brella, probably one of the core pieces that you would not get to do is just have that platform to present your company in front of the larger audience. But so it's a great point that Jake made, which is there's a lot of carriers and interested folks who are showing up to network that week. So if you're interested in applying and being part of the selected group, do that. If you don't get selected, there's still a lot of benefit to choosing to show up and participate, which shows a lot of grit for anyone. That was the point I was going to make, and then I was just maybe one more point, Jake, would be while these are distinct programs, you in fact ended up having an experience which precipitated your desire to apply to the accelerator program. If you could just talk a little bit about that.
You mentioned before that it was kind of like some of the best of the 100 days condensed into a week, and I concur. The InsurTech week, what part of what was amazing for me was because people were pretty accessible. I was able to get something, I think about 30 meetings in what was basically whatever between the Tuesday and the Friday afternoon, and was able to test so many hypotheses that I had and ideas. And I actually walked out of there with a brand new distribution strategy and lots of that we're still sticking with now a year and a half later, just based on the feedback that I was getting from people. And so it can be kind of intense, but going in there with a little bit of an agenda of this is what I'm trying to learn or this is who I'm trying to meet, I think can be very valuable.
Both Megan and I's contact information. I encourage you to take a look at the globalinsuranceaccelerator.com website. Under InsurTech Week, we've provided a lot of content in terms of the program as well as the application information. Please take a look at that, and then if you have more questions that we've been unable to answer, please feel free to reach out. But thank you for taking the time with us today. Jake, thanks for joining us to share your perspective as a company from a past InsurTech Week program. And thanks everyone for joining. Have a good afternoon and take care.